and gentlemen, please welcome Congressman Morgan Griffith and the next Vice President of the United States, Congressman Paul Ryan.
One hot angel, one cool devil, your mind on the fantasy, living on the ecstasy, give it all you got. Come on, give it all tonight. Pick it up, move it, give it till the start. Your mind on fantasy, living on ecstasy.
Ladies and gentlemen, what a great day it is to be in Bristol, Virginia. And weren't those great remarks by my colleague from Tennessee on the other side of the line, Phil Rowe? Where are you, Phil? Lost you. There he is right there. And, of course, our Senator Carrico, Delegate O'Quinn, and my former seatmate, Delegate Kilgore. Thank you all so much for being here today. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a great day, and Phil Rowe and I have been fighting in Congress to make sure that coal remains legal. We've been fighting to protect jobs over the course of the last 2 years, and we send bill after bill over to the United States Senate only to have Harry Reid stick it in his back pocket. We are going to change the way things are done in Washington, D.C. But Phil Rowe and I can't do it alone. We have to have some help. So are you ready to send George Allen to the United States Senate? He is a great individual who will be a great United States Senator and who understands that we need to create jobs and keep jobs, and particularly he understands what all these hats say: coal equals jobs. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to support the team of Romney-Ryan. It is also my pleasure to tell you that in the 2 years that I've been in Washington, I have watched our next vice president working hard in the halls of Congress. He is, in fact, one of the smartest men in Washington. Paul says I have to expand the universe. That's not saying a whole lot. He may be right. But, folks, I have to tell you that when Mitt Romney selected Paul Ryan, I was ecstatic. Because we need to win this election, but even more importantly, after we win on November 6th, we have to govern the United States of America. And Paul Ryan is an individual who will be a great asset to the next President of the United States, Mitt Romney. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, give a great Southwest Virginia welcome to the next Vice President of the United States of America, Paul Ryan.
I gotta be a professional announcer or something. That's awesome, Morgan. Thank you, Morgan. Let's hear it for Morgan Griffith. Hey, man. Wow. Thank you so much. I want to introduce you to the nucleus of my life. My wife, Jana, our daughter, Liza, our sons, Sam and Charlie. Say hi, guys. They don't have school today or tomorrow, so they're out here on the road with me, and all they want to talk about is trick-or-treating. Go ahead. And you know what's kind of scary about that? Is it's not scary. We're not heading in the right direction. I see all these coal hats out here. We, in Wisconsin, we use coal. It keeps our electricity rates down. It keeps our businesses operating. You produce coal. It keeps good family-supporting wages and jobs. And this war on coal is going to end when we elect Mitt Romney, the next president of the United States. I can guarantee you that. You know, there are two kinds of people who go to Washington, who go to serve in elected office. There are beers and there are doers. People who want to be something. People who want to have some title. People who want to be on the news. And then there are doers. The people who believe in a cause. The people who say, here's who I am, this is what I believe, and this is what I'm going to do. That is what Morgan Griffith is. That's what Phil Rowe is. You sent citizen legislators to elect you, to represent you, and they are doing a fantastic job, and they deserve our thanks and our show of support. I also want to thank Mark Ammon and your whole team here at Universal Fiber. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody here who works here. Thanks for your hospitality. Thanks for your jobs. Thanks for your innovation. Thanks for what you do. Virginia, I just got a quick question. And it's not just for folks in Bristol. It's everybody in Virginia. Are you ready to help us win this thing? Because you know what? You have that unique responsibility and opportunity. A handful of states will determine this. What is this? This is the most important election in our lifetimes, no matter what generation you come from. This is that kind of, we're not just picking a president for 4 more years. We are picking the destiny, the trajectory, the path of this country for at least a generation. Look at where we are. Just look at Universal Fibers, a perfect example of the engine of economic growth, of opportunity of the American economy. Small businesses are the backbone of our economy. This kind of a business, if we want good jobs, if we want to get people back to work, you got to get behind small businesses. And Universal Fibers is one of those perfect examples of those businesses that we need to get behind and reduce the barriers that are in front of them. Now let's look at where we are. We face a crystal clear choice in this election. And what Mitt Romney and I believe we owe you, we think we have a moral obligation to you, our fellow citizens, to give you the choice so you get to decide what kind of country you want to have. And that choice is very clear. President Obama is offering nothing more than the same. The same failed policies that he has given us the last 4 years. We are offering something different. We're going to take those founding principles that made us great in the first place, much of which came from Virginia. We're going to reapply them to the problems of the day, and we're going to get this country back on track, and we're going to help good job creators get back in the business of creating jobs and get people back on the path of prosperity. That's the choice in front of us. You know, President Obama really hasn't given us a vision for a second-term agenda. Just a couple of days ago, he came up with a slick new brochure, you know, with less than 2 weeks left to say, oh, I do actually have an agenda. It's a slick, well, comic book, that was his word. Yeah. To me, a slick repackaging of more of the same. And look at what it's gotten us. You see, where we are today is our economy is barely limping along. It's slower this year than it was last year. Last year was slower than the year before. Job growth in September was slower than August, and August was slower than July. Please, feel free, have a seat. I don't want to, for October 25th, it's pretty darn warm out here, isn't it? You know? Yeah, we get snow this time of year sometimes in Wisconsin. But look at where we are. We're headed in the wrong direction. You see, the Obama economic agenda failed not because it was stopped. It failed because it was passed. Let's not forget that he controlled all of government. Let's not forget that his party was in firm control of Washington when he came in, and so he could do everything he wanted to do. That's what gave us Obamacare. That's what gave us all this stimulus. And if you looked at the promises made when he passed all this borrowing and spending, giving money to corporate contributors and companies like Solyndra, he said our economy would be growing at 4.3% today if we only pass this borrowing binge. Well, we're at 1.3% today. We're about 9 million jobs short of what he said we would be if we just put this program in place. His program was put in place. He tried jamming cap and trade, this national energy tax, through Congress. It went through the House. Morgan Griffith helped make sure we didn't send the same guy back who helped pass that. They barely stopped it in the Senate, and now he's trying to do it through regulations. And the people in the coal industry know exactly what I'm talking about. So what he couldn't get through law, he's trying to get through regulations. You see, this idea, Washington knows best. More borrowing, more spending, more regulating, more money printing. If that worked, then we would be entering a golden age along with Greece. It doesn't work. Look at the tax increases he is promising. He would like you to think it's just the Wall Street guy, it's just the baseball player, the movie star. You know what? This business right here, Universal Fiber, it's a business like 8 out of 10 of the rest of businesses in America that pay their taxes as individuals. President Obama is promising, this is already something he passed into law, that their effective top tax rate goes to 44.8% in January. Look, you compete with foreign competitors, don't you, Mark? I mean, don't you have to sell carpet products and nylon products to against your foreign competition? When we tax our businesses at much higher tax rates than our foreign competitors tax theirs, they win, we lose. We can't afford to do that. That's not how you create jobs in Washington. Overseas, which where I come from means Lake Superior. Where I come from, we compete with the Canadians on a day-to-day basis. Our manufactured goods, our agricultural products. Canada just lowered the tax rate on all of their businesses to 15% last January. President Obama is saying that our tax on these kinds of businesses will go above 40% this January. Most countries tax their businesses at 25% or less. This tax increase that he's promising, and he's making you think that it's just a few rich people will pay for it, it's the job creators. 2/3 of our jobs in America come from these kinds of successful small businesses. And this tax increase, it doesn't even pay for 10% of his proposed deficit spending increases. So this idea that we can just have some elites in Washington who can take more from families and more from small businesses and spend it on their friends and their cronies and whoever they think ought to be favored, it does not work. What works is small business. What works is the worker. What works is getting the barriers out from hurting our businesses. We want to release American businesses to compete. If we get ourselves on a level playing field, then nobody can hold a candle to us. We can compete. We can get jobs. Look, it's not enough for Mitt Romney and I to talk about all that he's doing. Look, the president's record has failed. He can't run on his record, and that is why he has reduced his campaign, the incredibly shrinking Obama campaign, to all these distortions, to all these divisions, to all this name-calling and word-gaming. That's not aspiration. That's not hope. That's not change. That's blame. That's division. That's distortion. He's hoping he can get away with it so he can win by default. Not only has his agenda failed, not only is he promising more of the same, we know that he is promising a $2 trillion tax increase starting in January. We know that the debt will go up to $20 trillion from $16 trillion if he's reelected, with no plan to balance the budget whatsoever. We know that all of this borrowing and spending will end up with a $4,000 tax increase on middle-income families. So it's not enough for us to just criticize. This is why Mitt Romney and I are offering specific, bold solutions. We're going to you, our fellow countrymen and women, and saying, here's our plan. This is your choice. This is what our 5-point plan is all about. It's really simple. 5 points on how to get a growing economy, on how to get people who used to be in the middle class, who are in poverty now, back in the middle class, how to get income security, better take-home pay, how to grow the economy and create 12 million jobs. Point number 1, And please, I know you know this, we're in coal country. We have so much energy in this country. Let's use that energy in this country and create jobs. Let's get people back to work. Let's lower our gas prices, lower our home heating prices. Coal, oil, gas, nuclear, all of it. Number two, we got a lot of people who are struggling. A lot of people who got a great job coming out of high school, thought they'd have the job for the rest of their lives like their folks did. That's what it's like where I come from. And these factories, like where I come from, are gone. And so you got a lot of people in their 30s, in their 40s, in their 50s, in their 60s who are stuck. They don't have another job that can make up for what they had. So we need to get beyond the bureaucrats and get them the skills they need so they can get the jobs they want, to get them on a good career for the 21st century so they can get back on the path of building a future for themselves and their families. That is so essential. That means cut the bureaucracy, get people the skills they need. We have got to open up markets for our products. You see, 95% of the world's consumers, they don't live in this country. They live in other countries. And so when countries cheat on trade with us, number one, we got to hold them to account. And number two, we got to open up these markets so we can make more things in America, grow more things in America, and sell them overseas. That creates good jobs here. We need to export more of our goods. Number three, we have a moral responsibility. I see this little baby. How old is your baby? 8 months. I don't even want to tell you the math of what this 8-month-old baby is going to experience when these kids are our age. You saw my 3 kids, 7, 9, and 10 years old. By the time they're my age, the size of government then will be double what it is today, this government at that time. We're on an unsustainable path. We are burying our children and our grandchildren in a mountain of debt that guarantees they will not have the kind of future we've had. That guarantees they will not have a higher standard of living. We have a moral obligation to stop spending money we don't have, to cut spending, to balance the budget, to give our kids a debt-free nation. That helps us create jobs today, and that guarantees the American legacy of leaving the next generation is better off. That is essential. And as I said at the outset, just talk to Mark. We've got to champion small businesses. Look at the cloud they see in front of them just in January. More regulations, higher taxes, a government debt crisis which threatens a destabilized currency, higher interest rates, the future of Obamacare. 75% of the businesses the Chamber of Commerce surveyed said they're less likely to hire new workers just because of Obamacare. For the sake of Medicare, for the sake of health care, for the sake of job creation, we got to get rid of Obamacare. And so for these job creators, we've got to give them a lead. We've got to give them the ability to go and invest. We've got to give them confidence that their government isn't going to pull the rug out from under them or overregulate them or overtax them or overborrow and give us a debt crisis. These are the ideas we're offering. These are specific solutions. The worst thing that could happen, President Obama gets reelected, and we have more of the same with a debt crisis. The second worst thing that could happen is we get elected by default without a mandate. This is why we're asking you to give us the moral authority and the obligation to honor you by putting this agenda in place to get America back on the right track so we can get people back to work and we can get our country under control. It also means we honor these veterans who are here with us by keeping our national defense strong and giving our veterans the due that they fought for us. We're not going to gut our defense. These men and women have done it, have been there for us. We will be there for them. What we need is leadership. What we need is a leader who sees this moment for what it is, who has the courage of his convictions, who believes in the principles that built this country, who knows how to reapply them, a man with a moral compass, a man with a bedrock of principles, a man with a vision for the country and the proven ability to execute and implement that vision. That is Mitt Romney. That's the kind of man that he is. And the vision of this country is really clear. And I know some of you have heard me say this. I will always keep saying this. A Virginian wrote it down in the Declaration of Independence. We are an idea. That's what our country is. We're not just Bristol, Virginia, or Janesville, Wisconsin. America is an idea. It's a country founded on an idea. And Thomas Jefferson said it better than anybody else could. Our rights, they come from nature and nature's God, not from government. We are sovereign. The government works for us and not the other way around. That's what this country's built on. That's who we are. That's the genius of America. And we don't want to substitute it for a European-style government. We want our American government back. That's what we're going to do. We will not duck these issues. We will not kick the can down the road. We will not run away from our country's problems. We will run at our country's problems. We will not blame other people for the next 4 years. We will take responsibility and clean up this mess in Washington. And we will not try to transform this country into something it was never intended to be. We will not replace those founding principles. We will reapply our founding principles. We can do this, you guys. Together, with your help, we can get this done. Virginia, we need your help. Don't forget, early voting already started. If you haven't voted absentee, you can still do it. And go find somebody who thought the hope and change sounded good in 2008, but no, it isn't true now. Get them to vote for us. Go find those friends, those family members, those neighbors. We can do this together. Thank you so much for coming out today, you guys. I really appreciate it. God bless you all. Thank you.